Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this video finds you. Welcome to Villainous News Live. I'm your host, Mr. Bay, along with Louis Conyer. How you doing there, sir?
What's going on? Long day, long day.
Hey,
Very interesting.
yes, very interesting. Uh, let's see what we're looking at here. Let's go straight to Politico. Yeah, we're gonna get right into it. Iran threatens obliterating war if Israel attacks Lebanon. Tensions between Israel and Hezbollah prompted the U.S. to launch diplomatic efforts to prevent a full-scale war in the region. Mm-mm-mm. Iran has threatened that an Israeli invasion of Lebanon would trigger an obliterating war. The warning came after tensions between Israel and the Iranian-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah prompted the United States to launch diplomatic efforts to prevent a full-scale war in the region. In a post on social media late Friday, Iran's mission to the United Nations said that Tehran considers Israel's warnings of military action in Lebanon as psychological warfare, but should it embark on full-scale military aggression, an obliterating war will ensue. All options, including the full involvement of all resistance fronts, are on the table, the Iranian official said, referring to the alliance of armed groups backed by Iran, including Hezbollah, Hamas, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Yemen's Houthis, and Iraqi Shiite militias. What is going on with me? It's only 12:30 in the morning. The threats from Iran come after former Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz declared on Tuesday, "We can plunge Lebanon completely into the dark and take apart Hezbollah's power in days." Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on Thursday warned that the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, are capable of bringing Lebanon back to the Stone Age, but we don't want to get into a war because it's not good for Israel, he added during a visit to Washington. According to U.S. intelligence, a large-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah is likely to break out in the next several weeks if the Israeli government and Hamas fail to reach a ceasefire deal in Gaza. According to data collected by the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, ACLED, and reported by Al Jazeera, there have been some 7,400 cross-border attacks between Israel and Lebanon since October 7th. The escalating tensions on the Israeli-Lebanese border prompted Germany, the Netherlands, and Canada this week to urge their citizens to leave Lebanon as soon as possible via the commercial flights still operating in the country. The U.S., which has a slightly more conservative assessment, issued a travel advisory for U.S. citizens, urging them to strongly reconsider travel to Lebanon. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, that's it, right?
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu, I don't know, said something else, said last Sunday that the intense phase of the war with Hamas is about to end, but also that the IDF's focus may shift to Israel's northern border with Lebanon. In late May, the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Karim Khan, requested arrest warrants for Netanyahu, Gallant, and 3 senior Hamas leaders. The UK government is now expected to intervene at the ICC to delay a decision on whether to issue a warrant for Netanyahu for alleged war crimes in Gaza. Iran's new threats over a potential war between Israel and Hezbollah came as the Hezbollah, between Israel and Hezbollah, came as the Islamic Republic went to the polls for presidential elections. The first round ended with none of the candidates above the 50% of preferences needed to win. Iran will go to a runoff next week between moderate reformist, Masoud Pezeshkian and hardliner Saeed Jalili, who received 10.4 million and 9.4 million votes, respectively. Okay. Now, this was published June 29th. Here we are, Friday. It's the 1st. Let's see if there is anything new on that. Let's see here. Let's see. Defense, finances. Oops. Of course, Europe is an ally on Kamala Harris's team. They're both under the crown. Oh, okay. Here we go. Let's check this out. How Hamas and Iran will respond to the assassinations of top Hamas leaders. Ooh. All right, so I'm going to have some problems with these names. I already know it. But we're a team, right?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Want me to read it?
It's long if you want to. It's pretty long.
God damn.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
We need to get one of them readers.
Yeah. All right, I'll read it till it gets to the point. How about that?
All right.
Right now, I'm scanning it. All right, so Hamas will not be deterred or diminished after the killing of one of its most senior leaders, two experts on Middle East politics told Politico. Ismail, was that Haniyeh? The political chief of Hamas, and who was leading ceasefire negotiations on the part of the military group, was assassinated in Tehran Wednesday morning, just hours after Israel targeted a top Hezbollah military leader in Beirut. As I said, Hezbollah. I said that. Didn't I say that? Please say I said that. Okay. Both Iran and Hamas have pointed the finger at Israel, which has conducted many high-profile assassinations over the years on Iranian soil and targeted Hamas leaders in Gaza. Israel has not commented on Haniyeh's assassination. Iran has vowed a harsh and painful response in retaliation, leading some to worry a broader regional war could be possible, adding that the U.S. and other Western countries won't be immune to the fallout. On Thursday, Israel confirmed it killed the head of Hamas's military wing, Mohammed Deif, in a mid-July airstrike. Tahani Mustafa, a senior Palestine analyst and the International Crisis Group, and Vali Nasir, professor of international affairs and Middle East studies at Johns Hopkins University, explained what could come next after the killing of the key Palestinian leader who joined Hamas in the 1980s before rising through its ranks. Both experts spoke to Politico before the news of Deif's killing was made public by Israel. Their comments have been edited for clarity. Let's see. Okay, we don't really care about them. They're like, who was he? We don't care about that. Where does this leave Hamas? We don't care about that. What does it mean for the ceasefire negotiations? Because this is not the first time Israel has targeted a moderate and someone it was negotiating with, Mustafa said. Tahani Mustafa, the last one, I think, was Ahmad Jabari, Hamas's then military commander, in 2012, where they assassinated him on the cusp of what was a comprehensive agreement for a permanent cessation of hostilities. And they had assassinated him while he had the negotiating papers in his car because they don't want to negotiate. It's not about a negotiation. It's been a hostile takeover since. At the time, Israel posted on X, then known as Twitter, Jabari had been eliminated. Then Israeli President Shimon Peres said to U.S. President Barack Obama, the head of the military force of Hamas was killed half an hour ago. He was the most extreme man and was in charge of all the attacks and assassinations from Gaza against Israel. We shall handle it with great care. If anything, if we are to see any kind of serious negotiations coming to the fore, Israel is going to have to make some serious concessions. It would be political suicide at this point for any entity that has experienced the blow that Hamas has today to simply just cede over the demands of one side. Even Israeli press reported a month ago that Netanyahu had effectively derailed 9 ceasefire proposals through various mechanisms, including leaking sensitive information to his war cabinet. This just kind of goes in the long line of Israel attempting to derail ceasefire talks. But if you want to put it on the other hand, this could be the thing that could get Netanyahu the ceasefire, also saving face in front of his own public. It kind of really miscalculates the position of your adversary, which is that if anything, now Israel is going to be in a harder position in negotiations because Hamas is not going to be able to accept anything short of the concessions that is now asking for. Oh my God.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Well, I've been monitoring this all day on numerous sites on other than YouTube, and right now, today, the United States Air Force just delivered jet air fuel for the Israeli planes. The EAMs and EAMs are emergency action messages, been going off the chains, and we don't know if it's posturing on Iran's part to keep Israel on its toes, but everything over there in the Middle East is right now on high alert. And plus, it was subs detected off of the coast of New Jersey and New York.
And a partridge in a pear tree. I know I saw you sent me that video. Should we play it?
Yes.
All right.
What's up, Simeon?
What's up, Simeon? I don't see you, but hold on. I got it in my history on one of my other accounts, not this account, but let me see. Hold on. I gotta switch accounts. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, here we go. But wow, he went almost 12 hours.
New York Prepper.
Yes. We're not gonna do that much. We are not gonna do that much. Like, no. We need our beauty sleeps. All right. So, oh yes, that's right. Hold on. Let me switch back. Dang it. Let me switch back profiles. So that way I can subscribe to him. So you guys subscribe to New York Prepper. All right. Matter of fact, I'll even throw the link to this video in the chat. So that way.
Yeah, everybody, New York Prepper is a real good channel. Keeps you a lot of up-to-date stuff on Middle East, a lot of informative information.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Getting set up. This is his prep.
Yeah, and what you hear that breach, that's the EAM channels.
Jesus.
It was probably waiting for people to come in because it's like an average of like 15,000 people that watch his channel at one time. Was that the one I sent you today?
Yeah. I'm like 8 hours in.
No, go to like the 20-minute mark.
I'm 8. Okay. Okay. It's just that screeching stuff. Like there's no talking. Hold on, let me go back. It's weird because this is the one you sent me. This is literally the one you sent me.
The next couple of days, because that was probably
no. Okay, no. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I think I got it.
Romeo, Victor.
Was that you texting me?
Yeah. Go to the 20-minute mark there on that video.
What's going on, guys?
All right.
Greg here, aka NY Prepper. It is Thursday, August 1st, 2024.
All right. What profile is this? Okay, let me switch the profile. Switch out, and there we go. And let me reopen that. Oops, no. I think I see why we do these on the weekends. I mean, on Mondays. Come on, what are you doing? Oh, okay. There we go. Oh. There you go. There we
What's
go.
going
Okay.
on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NY Prepper.
What's up, Detroit 313?
All right, I should have it now. All right, history. There we go. Okay, here we go.
It is Thursday, August 1st, 2024.
Oh,
I
no,
have an
Detroit.
emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 16:05 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East. So I want to update you guys on the situation with Iran and Israel. In case you haven't been following my live streams, which I've been keeping up 24/7, so you can go into the live streams and hang out and exchange information, check out the flight trackers, check out the live cameras, and listen to our nuclear forces. So I'm going to try to keep those up 24/7 over the next couple of days, because I do believe that a massive strike on Israel is coming. I think Iran is going to launch its biggest attack on Israel yet. So I do believe this is going to be historic in a bad way. Last time Iran attacked Israel, they launched like 200 or 300 missiles at Israel, and it took a combined effort of like half a dozen countries: Israel, Jordan, the UK, the US, France, Italy, and probably some others, Saudi Arabia. It took a combined effort of all of those countries to intercept the missiles that Iran launched. This time around, Iran is going to launch probably 3 times as many missiles, okay? So it's going to be very difficult for the US and allies to intercept every single missile if they launch thousands of them, and drones. And from what I'm hearing is that this time around, the Iranian proxies as well as Hezbollah are going to join in. So this is going to be an attack from all sides on Israel, okay? So get prepared, guys. This is going to escalate, because then Israel is going to retaliate back, okay? and it's just going to keep escalating. So the Iranian supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, ordered a direct strike on Israel in response to the killing of Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh. The New York Times is reporting, citing 3 unnamed Iranian officials briefed on the matter, including 2 IRGC members. The report says the directive was given yesterday morning after the emergency meeting of the Iranian Supreme National Security Council. Okay, so the leader of Iran has already given the orders for a direct strike on Israel, guys. This is very, very serious. And the speaker of the Iranian parliament said, quote, "The Zionist entity will pay an unimaginably heavy price for violating Iran's safe borders." Now, in Iran, they've raised the red flag, okay? And the red flag in Islam means revenge. It symbolizes the unjust spilling of blood and revenge, okay? So this is very, very serious, guys. I can't remember the last time Iran has flown the red flag of revenge over Tehran. This is very, very serious, guys, okay? And Iran has sent out a message to other Arab countries warning them that if they open their airspace for Israel to counterattack after Iran's retaliation, it would make that country a liable target for Iranian forces, okay? So Iran warning other Middle Eastern countries, do not open your airspace to Israel or we will attack you, okay? We will treat you as an enemy just like Israel. And the Houthis have confirmed that they will take part in the response. And the Israeli President Isaac Herzog is urging Israelis to, quote, show responsibility and diligence and adhere to instructions and orders, an apparent hint that tough times may be ahead, okay? So Israel's civil defense is now on high alert, guys, okay? They are getting ready for a massive attack. This is going to be bigger than what happened in April, and I think we're going to see another culinary night, except this time it's going to be like culinary night on steroids. I think it's going to be the most intense thing we've seen so far in the OSINT community. Okay, and I will be tracking the nuclear forces.
Culinary is the call sign for it's the third, if I'm correct, is the third in precedence under Sky King and Sky Master, and then it's culinary when it comes to nuclear strikes. So you go ahead. What's up, Jibba Jabba? You're on mute, Bay.
Sorry, I was saying hello to our Detroit and Jibba. My bad. All right, let's go.
You can count on me for that. I do have a radio expert that is a consultant of the NY Prepper channel. This person has decades of ham radio operation experience, and he will be assisting me when everything goes down so we can decipher and understand what's going on from a radio perspective, okay? So I will be providing coverage as it unfolds. And at the emergency UN Security Council meeting that was called by Iran yesterday, Iran's permanent representative to the UN said that the UN Security Council must take immediate measures to hold Israel accountable for the assassination of the head of Hamas's political bureau. And at the UN, China, Russia, and Algeria condemned the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, and the US, the UK, and France did not condemn his assassination, rather saying that Iran was supporting destabilizing actors in the region. And Tel Aviv's Ichilov Medical Center has cleared its underground parking lot, preparing to convert it into a fortified underground hospital if necessary. Israel's health ministry has established teams of doctors ready for rapid deployment to severely affected areas in case of mass casualties. This is being reported by Khan News. And Iran is now deploying S-300 air defenses in western Iran. Jordan has just issued a NOTAM, a notice to airmen, requiring all flights to Jordan to carry an additional 45 minutes of fuel. So that's pretty interesting. And the Pentagon said yesterday that they have now rerouted and redeployed 12 warships into the Middle East. Okay, and this is in addition to the WASP Amphibious Ready Group, which has 2,500 Marines and a total of 3 ships. And then we have the USS Teddy Roosevelt, which we know includes at least 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. And each one of those Arleigh Burke-class destroyers has 96 missile tubes. So they can each carry almost 100 missiles. So that would allow them to carry up to almost 300 interceptors that they can use to intercept Iranian ballistic missiles. But usually the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers are not 100% loaded with just interceptors. They're usually
Go to the back chat, sir.
loaded also with some anti-ship missiles for self-defense and some land attack missiles. Okay, so assuming that they have about 75% of their missile tubes filled with interceptors, you're looking at around 200 to 250 interceptors that those 3 destroyers in the Persian Gulf have right now. Now, the U.S. is saying that they sent 12 warships, so that's in addition to all these other warships. Okay, so guys, get prepared. Things are about to get really, really crazy. And our nuclear forces are currently on high alert this afternoon. And we have a presidential doomsday plane that went to Offutt Air Base. This is a huge sign that something is about to go down, because they probably just moved either the president or the vice president or a chief of staff or one of our generals to Offutt Air Base, okay, which is home of U.S. Strategic Command. That's the basically brain of the U.S. military. Okay, this is where they took Dick Cheney after 9/11 and Bush as well. Okay, so potentially Biden going to Offutt Air Base, okay, a doomsday bunker and also home of Strategic Command. They can command the entire U.S. military from Nebraska here, from STRATCOM headquarters, okay? We also have 2 B-52 nuclear bombers airborne this afternoon and 2 nuclear war command and control planes up in the air. One is heading.
Wait, I have a question. Because now that I look at it, you see this map, this flight map?
Yeah.
Where was Kamala yesterday?
Down in Texas area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was down. I think she was down in Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm about to get that program. You could track all military flights and commercial flights, and I'm about to get the oceanograph map where you could track all military ships also. What's up, AB?
So, yeah, she was down there supposedly. Remember, because we were talking about this yesterday. I was like,
Yeah.
she said she was going to be at the funeral, somewhere up north. But turns out she was down in Texas, in Houston. Very interesting. Okay, I just wanted to point that out.
Out into the Gulf right now. We also have a lot of sub-hunter activity off the U.S. East Coast. Here you can actually see 2 sub-hunters that were active off the coast of Long Island and New Jersey near the Hudson Canyon area. And they were flying really low here for several hours this afternoon. You could see only about 3,000 to 4,000 feet all afternoon here, guys, just doing loops. So it looks like Russian subs are probably off the coast of Long Island and New York City. maybe this is the Russian Belgorod submarine that carries the Poseidon underwater nuclear torpedo that has 100 megaton blast yield. Maybe they're hanging out over here, and if anything gets crazy, they can launch that Poseidon right into New York Harbor and basically just annihilate the entire tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, with that 100 megaton warhead and generate a massive radioactive tsunami that'll flood the entire northeast coastline. I don't know, guys. I'm just saying, I don't know. Okay, but these sub hunters looping over here is very, very unusual. This is actually a very popular deep sea fishing spot for people in Long Island. When I lived on Long Island for a little while, people would take boats out here and fish right off the edge of the continental shelf near the Hudson Canyon. This is actually an old canyon from the Hudson River back when the water levels were lower. There was a massive canyon here, okay, and there's a lot of tuna and different types of predatory fish that hang out right off the continental shelf here. So this is probably about 300 miles off the coast of New York City. Very concerning. And Australia has called on its citizens to immediately depart from Lebanon using commercial flights while they are still available, with Foreign Minister Penny Wong stating now is the time to leave. The security situation could quickly deteriorate with little or no notice. This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply.
All right, so
The Mideast is on high alert right now, and it's almost at the point where, how long ago was that? Because I had it on my, I got the channel on private.
all right. Oh, check the back chat again if you get a second.
Again?
Yeah.
You want me to read that one instead?
Yeah, that's yeah.
All right, hold on. My computer's acting up.
Yeah, Chief Rocker, he said they just received the hostages at JB Andrews tonight. So I went to check the update, see what was going on. So thank you, Chief Rocker. Like to stay up to date. But in all honesty, I mean, while we get everything together, there is no doubt in my mind that Iran is going to pop off. They are not afraid, and they have a lot of anger in their heart. We already saw what they did, 2 months ago? 2.5 months ago? Israel had to operate the Golden Dome. I mean, they're not afraid. They are not afraid. They are not afraid of conflict, and they have the Russian military has their back, along with a few other countries over there. I mean, I understand that an attack on Israel for them is an attack on the United States, but they are no longer afraid. China has, because of the military and the bank, China has Russia's back. So if push comes to shove, they can easily call up 250,000 Chinese soldiers. I mean, the bodies is bodies. The two countries, it was several countries that they freed by canceling the $2 billion debt. It was African countries that owed Russia billions of dollars. Putin cleared the debt. Told them, hey, look, sign with BRICS. You had 2 coups that happened in Africa. Well, it was Niger and I can't
Congo?
think of the name right. Huh?
Was it the Congo?
No, it was Niger and It was another. It was a small African country, very very critical though, very crucial that the United
Gamba,
States needs to have
Gambia.
control over. Yeah, Gambia. I believe it was Gambia. They had those coups. Remember we talked about that, but it was
Yeah.
like earlier this year. But yeah, they had those coups, and he was like, "Yo, if I need soldiers, do you have my back?" And they like, "Yeah, just call us. Send the plane. Send the plane. You gonna supply the weapons? Oh yes, most definitely. We'll be there." They're ready. Putin has been stocking his military might, just like the United States has really just been
Burkina
kind
Faso and Mali. Thanks, Jibba Jabba and Christopher Clipper.
Mali and Burkina Faso and Burkina Faso. Oh, okay. You put the R in those next. Okay. Yeah, it's like he's been stacking power. He's been putting his military puzzle pieces into place. You've got Russia and China doing quote unquote joint exercises in international waters off the coast of Alaska. You got Russian subs off the coast of California. The last one we heard about, the one that docked in Cuba, was off the coast of Florida in international waters, and then one outside of Roanoke, Virginia. It was Virginia, right? Was it Virginia?
What, the sub?
Yeah. What was it off the East Coast?
It was down the Florida coast, and you had one in the Mexican Gulf.
Right.
And you had one by right by the tri-state area, New York,
Yeah.
New Jersey, Pennsylvania.
Right. So you got one station there, all in international waters, supposedly just, doing military exercises. You got Russian warships that are sitting in the Red Sea. This was before Iran fired a whole bunch of old useless missiles at Israel to try and exhaust out their Golden Dome. It did its job, for the most part, but it exhausted itself. So now they're wide open. Iran has hypersonic missiles. I still haven't confirmed whether or not they got tactical nukes from Russia, but that was a rumor, I guess. So you say Iran and the Horus have the S-300 missile defense system. It's an undefeated system. Say the last days of colonialism. What's going on? Christopher Clipper.
Everybody's getting, the whole world's getting tired of the bully.
Right.
Now the rabbit has the gun. There's a new bully on the block.
Yeah, it's the East. The funny part about it is that, as much as you hear people talking about DEI and woke culture and all of that stuff, and BlackRock, for those of you who are a little deeper, and what's the other guy's name? George Soros. Y'all don't seem to understand. These are foreign-run companies. Foreign-run companies that have a reputation for destroying societies. Houthi. Okay, so that's what you meant, Houthi. Okay, yeah, I got the fat fingers too when I type. They're hell-bent on destroying all of these countries under the crown. Look at what France looks like. France is a crap hole. England is a crap hole. They're having the same issues over there with migrants that we're having here.
And look how France got embarrassed with the Olympics. You had 4 train lines that was set on fire, and then you had a blackout for over 4 hours. So, yeah. All this stuff is not coincidence.
It's all by design. It's all by design. BlackRock just destroys you financially by making you indebted to them. You know, they'll loan you whatever, how much you want. These long-term interest loans, 99 years. You know, you got 99 years to pay it off. You can borrow billions if you like, because we have trillions of dollars in expendable income, purchasing capital, whatever you want to call it. They got trillions of dollars. But if you want this money, then these are the terms and conditions. What's going on, Sick Diggy? You know what's funny? We talk about DEI, right? Yeah. The funny part about it is that Deadpool movie was woke as hell. Well, it had all of the woke elements that they keep putting in all of these movies and TV shows, except they make it about their identity. But Deadpool versus Wolverine, that was a damn good movie, right?
Hell yeah.
So from what you saw, now let's list the DEI check boxes that was in that movie. Okay, strong female lead, the villain, right?
Yep.
Okay, gay overtones.
A lot of that emasculated men.
Yeah, especially the straight white males.
Oh yeah, the what was it? Nice Pool?
Yeah, nice
The
pool.
Deadpool? Yeah.
Nice pool. How Deadpool, how he always took homosexual shots at Wolverine. He made all them gay jokes, like the one when he was laying on top of him. He was like, shh, almost finished. Like, finished doing what? You know, it was a sexual position, but you know, he pulled the knife out of his butt, of all places. Okay. So you got that. Lady Deadpool, you could pretty much count her as like
Trans.
Deadpool in drag, right? Trans. All right. You had all the elements. Oh, and
they had one of every ethnicity. You had an Asian samurai and all that.
And a strong black character. I'm not gonna say the name for those who didn't see it, but you had a strong black male character. Oh, also you had a boss chick, young woman.
Oh yeah, and you're forgetting the one that was in charge, like the second in command, the black female with the butch haircut.
Oh yeah, from the Time variant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. They slipped. Yeah, they slipped in. Yeah, they slipped it in. Say that the agenda was strong. Yeah, that agenda was powerful in the movies. Except, guess what? Was it pump pool? But the thing about it was that we saw it, but we didn't care because it wasn't even about that. It wasn't about their identity it wasn't about their identity or what they identify as or nothing like that. It was just, they just existed. And once you saw them on screen, you already knew what they was about. You already knew what they was about. Shoot. They feeling the wrath of the Russian. Oh, Pimp Poo. Oh, that's what you said. Was it Pimp Poo? Wasn't it a Deadpool that was dressed up like a pimp?
Yeah.
Yeah. Had all the variants. All right, so you hear what I know. I tried not to spoil it, but you hearing what you heard what New York Prepper said.
Mm-hmm.
They getting ready to gear up for war because Israel knows, and everybody in that region knows, that Iran has no problem pushing buttons. That's why Obama had to take away their nuclear capabilities. You cannot have a country like Iran. They can't have nukes. No. You are the ones who should not have nukes. You stick with your regular little weapons. You cannot have world destroying technology. But Russia needs to end this war with Ukraine real fast. It's been dragging on way too long. They're running out of soldiers.
But you know what? You know how well the US used strategy where they were supplying Ukraine with all this equipment, right?
Yeah.
And hoping that with superior US technology and equipment that they will beat Russia. But if you know anything about Russia, where it comes to wars, they always do the war of attrition. And they're doing a tit for tat. And when Russia originally invaded Ukraine, they're still using their old Soviet Union era equipment. And I think Putin, when he realized, because what happened was you had all these NATO countries that were donating all of their equipment, and United States sending over stuff. So I think Putin said, you know what? Let's play this game. We got a ton of people. We're using up our old equipment, and we're going to do a tit for tat. And as much as Russia is getting hit, Ukraine is getting decimated, and the equipment is getting destroyed. So it's like, you know what? Keep on sending all your equipment, and we're going to destroy it. And we all know that right now we're not producing nothing, and it takes a while and we're not in a wartime economy where you do the authorization, where you have these plants making tanks and trucks and all that stuff. So they're just saying, hey, keep on donating that stuff and we're going to blow it up.
All that's doing is escalating the war. That's all you're doing is escalating to the point where I'm telling you, Russia, I think they're going to let off one of them tactical nukes in Ukraine. I think it's going to get to that point.
I don't think they will, because Ukraine has black soil, the most fertile soil in the world, and that is the breadbasket of Europe. That would totally decimate the food chain. Because remember, Ukraine and Russia is the number 1 and number 2 supplier to the world when it comes to wheat crops.
Yeah.
Yep. And sunflower products. Want me to start reading this article?
Yeah, because I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking of how no matter whoever makes the move, if Iran makes the move, if they send the missiles, if they retaliate against Israel, Israel's going to retaliate back. It's going to get super freaking bloody. The United States going to get involved, even though Russia told them let them work it out. They're going to have, especially if Trump, I mean, naturally he should be president, but a lot could happen between now and election night. They already tried to kill him once. All right, they already tried to kill him once. Kamala is ducking him like crazy.
All right, let's get to this.
I don't know who's going to call the shots if Iran hits the button. Go ahead.
This is CNN world website. Americans Gershowitz and Whelan return home from Russia after a historic prisoner swap, and this was updated at 1:10 a.m. today. Okay, the painstaking negotiations that secured the historic prisoner swap, and this is by Jennifer Hansler, Cal Atwood, Alex Markordot, and MJ Lee. Okay, I guess those are the contributors to this article, and this was done 15 minutes ago, as a matter of fact. In the late June, CIA officials held a secret meeting with Russian intelligence officers in an undisclosed Middle Eastern capital city to present a proposal for a possible prisoner swap. It was the latest in a series of offers U.S. officials had made to Russia in a years-long effort to secure the release of Americans imprisoned in Russia. But this time, the CIA has something new to offer. Vadim Krasnikov, a Russian assassin who'd been convicted of executing a man in broad daylight in Berlin and was serving a life sentence in a German prison. The proposal the CIA offered to the Russians that day was the culmination of months of work by the U.S. officials to convince the Germans to release Krasnikov, who have been having close ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin. The expansive deal presented that day included trading the Russian assassin for two high-profile Americans jailed in Russia on baseless charges of espionage: former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan and Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. And pause right there when the WNBA player, what was her name? The lesbian that was released when she got arrested for the marijuana. They wanted to have a U.S. Marine Paul Whelan as part of the deal, but
Brittany
they took the
Griner.
WNBA player instead of United States Marine.
Yeah, Brittany Griner.
Yeah, Brittany Griner. The Russian officials took the proposal back to Moscow in early July in a phone call with CIA Director Bill Burns. The Russian side indicated to the Americans that they agreed to the deal in principle, but the specifics need to be hammered out. Then on July 17th, Moscow accepted the terms by transmitting their answer to the CIA, setting the stage for the largest prisoner exchange between the U.S. and Russia since the Cold War, one that involved 24 prisoners and 7 countries. It was a remarkably swift conclusion to years of painstaking negotiations between the U.S. and more than a half dozen countries. And it's kind of funny with this that you have a WNBA player that had CBD marijuana products that was more valuable to the United States than a United States Marine. And what does that say to people that's aspiring or considering joining the military right now? Young people. Do you want me to read this one from 29 minutes ago? With Vice President Harris?
I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, it's short. This is Harris ties prisoner swap and Biden's diplomatic efforts to 2024 election.
Of course
was 30 minutes ago from Betsy Klein. On the tarmac, after welcoming 3 freed Americans after Thursday's historic prisoner swap, Vice President Kamala Harris tied the deal and related diplomatic efforts to the Biden administration, which is she's going to take credit for it because she's part of the administration, for her election to the November election, telling reporters that the moment is a reminder of what is at stake. Shortly after freed Americans Paul Whelan, Evan Gershkovich, and also Koromashiva arrived on U.S. soil, Harris said it's a very good night and a testament to the work that we prioritize under Joe Biden's leadership and our administration. Yeah, you prioritize the WNBA player that had marijuana in Russia over a Marine, but I digress. Which is the importance of building alliances, building the strength that we have through diplomacy to have outcomes like this. The presumptive Democrat nominee did not name former President Donald Trump, but alluded to his America First policies and isolationist rhetoric, seeking to draw a contrast with her political rival. There's so much at stake right now in our country and this upcoming election, including who has which approach to understanding America's strength. This is an example of the strength of the American leadership in bringing nations together to deliver, Harris said on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews. Hold up. What's up, Charles? This is very interesting that you had the situation yesterday at the National Association of Black Journalists with Trump, and is very coincidental now that she's using this. And in the previous article, they've been talking, the CIA and Russian intelligence have been going back and forth over these exchanges. And it's very coincidental right now that Kamala Harris and Biden and them will have, let me take this off because it's messing with my bandwidth. To bring more clout to the administration. If this was going on for years, how come you couldn't get these people released earlier? They use as pawns in this political system. You can't make this shit up. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Go ahead, because I mean, clearly. What's up, Charles? If you want to come up, just hit the one. I'll put the link in the chat. But I mean, clearly, this is some wag the dog type of stuff. This is wag the dog material. It's a cheap trick, cheap ploy, and her trying to claim credit for that. Like, it's like, how do you claim credit for that when you can't even handle? You couldn't even handle Biden 4 years ago. Biden, he was looking at you like you was crazy. You was pushing for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we see what it's done to this nation. I find it so funny that listen, black folks, DEI don't mean black folks. Like, at all. DEI centers around white and black women and those of the LGBTQ community, most specifically of the trans community. They sitting up here. Do I really? Okay, look, let me explain to y'all what's going on, because I find it very surprising when I'm in my TikTok and I be posting these stories and I get so many issues with black folks who don't know what time it is, because they get their news from maybe CNN or MSNBC and of course, like on ABC, which that black chick, what's her name? Rachel Scott. Yeah, she worked for ABC. You see how vicious and so full of vitriol that they are. They want to play these identity politics. I'm telling you right now, George Soros, he's the one that put all of these horrible black politicians in power, both male and female. He funded their campaigns. BlackRock loaned companies money, but they had to put these DEI initiatives in there, specifically pushing the LGBTQIA whatever, the rainbow agenda. And the first thing that they did, they decided to indoctrinate the children, because for them, it's always about the children. You say they push for DEI, but when called out on it as a recipient, you're being chauvinistic or racist. It's the typical, you're an istophobe, either a sexist or a racist or a homophobe or whatever. That's been the line that they've been running with since 2015, that 2015 Ghostbusters movie, that if you didn't like it, then you're all of this. And I'm like, Of course, the answer to that is, well, then I guess all the women who didn't go see the film or who doesn't support the WNBA or whatnot, I guess they islamophobes too, right? But that's a different story. But my thing is that the rainbow community got into the school system in order to groom and brainwash the children. You had people showing up at these school board meetings for majority white, and they were reading out the books that was in the kids' libraries. We're talking about children, between the ages of kindergarten and 5th grade or 6th grade. But mainly they were really focusing on kindergarten and 3rd grade, with these perverted books about homosexuality and whatnot, showing graphic images of an older boy having anal sex with a younger boy. I mean, it was real perverted stuff. And when the teachers were reading these books out at the school board meetings to say, hey, why is this in these schools? Get this out of the school. They had the police drag those people out because they didn't want them reading the books. They didn't want them showing the pictures that was in the books. That's why Donald Trump was like, yo, I'm gonna need to change the school system. I'm gonna fire everybody in the Board of Education because they allowed those books to be in there. And then when the kids when they get into junior high school and they start having growing pains because of puberty, the guidance counselors there of the same alphabet community will tell these kids, try to convince them into thinking that they were born in the wrong body. And the messed up part about it is that, no, you can come up. Anybody can come up. I don't care. The messed up part about it is that they got the medical field, both psychological and surgical, the medicinal side and the psychological side, playing along with this to convince these kids to, literally mutilate themselves before they're adults, cut off get double mastectomies, thank you, double mastectomies.
They cut the bags off,
right?
The fun bags.
You're not even fully developed yet. They take the glands right up out of you, and the boys to get, sterilized. They haven't really pushed for the bottom surgery for the little boys yet, but this is why they put the boys on puberty blockers. And everybody knows, well, if you don't know, puberty blockers, they sterilize you mainly for life. For life. It's a sterilization drug. It's the same stuff that they give to pedos sometimes.
Let's not talk about the fact that side of the bricks, especially the T side of the alphabet community, they have over 60% self-deletion rate.
Yeah.
Post-op.
Yeah, because testosterone, it governs your immune system and also your mental stability.
Mm-hmm. You can't focus without that. This is the reason why men make better leaders, because testosterone, it makes you aggressive, but it makes you more focused, determined, and more daring. And when you take away a fundamental block of something that naturally comes to you, there are no vacuums in nature.
I'll bet pharmaceuticals will start doing certain things, like try to introduce TRT to some of these folks. Trust me. Hey, if I'm wrong, I would have no problem sending Charles a bottle of cognac.
I'm gonna tell you.
I'm wrong.
I'm gonna tell you what happens. I'm gonna tell you what happens. People forget how big the emotion regret is. when you basically, I'm just going to say it, self-mutilate, you can never get back to what you were, and you'll regret it.
That's why they take themselves out. When they finally dawn on them, oh my God, what have I done? I've ruined my life.
Once you take away those pleasure tools, as we call it, since I know the news, we're trying to keep it PG. Sugar, honey, iced tea.
Enough with the Uncle Charlie references, damn it.
That depression becomes tenfold, okay?
Oh, you go off the deep end on that one.
And I've seen it on so many levels. And you already have a mental imbalance if you think that you're something that you're not, which is a form of psychosis, detachment from reality. Now you're taking away certain body parts, one of the most important. That's a heavy blow. And like you were saying, Bay, earlier, this grooming and indoctrination is so sinister that you're basically seeing a modern day Rome. You're seeing Sodom and Gomorrah before your eyes. There's nothing that's too taboo or shame.
Rome under Nero.
Yeah.
Because remember, Nero had. We're not talking about Caligula. We're talking about Nero. Because remember, Nero did kill his own pregnant wife and then had a male slave castrated and turned into that female into a depiction of his wife, and took him in as his bride afterwards.
Yeah. You're seeing. Look at what you guys are putting out right now. You're. It's kind of funny when everybody has this advantage called DEI, which means despite black men. And you're sitting there with a form. One, I gotta say this. I think it's a bad showing of both intellect, grace, and class to sit with a former head of state and talk to him like he's beneath you. Kudos to President Trump. I'm handling the situation with grace. But look at this. But just go back to where you were for a second. Go back to where you were for a second. When you had news articles like that you previously had.
Well, let's stay in the United States. You'd think legislation
And I'm gonna just end it off with this. When you have news articles like this,
I was getting this ready. This ready. My bad. Go ahead. My bad.
I just wanted to say this before you began. When you have news articles, when you and I, Lewis, have news articles like this, which I think are vastly important. That's why I'm always sharing the shit, because y'all my boys.
Thank you.
You gotta understand. The mainstream media is going to cover this sugar honey iced tea up. See, I'm working on it. They're covering it up like an old quilted blanket. They won't tell you how many times we were on the brink of all out war. How much money is being spent on what, 2 or 3 proxy wars?
What's the biggest story the past 2 days? I'm a black women's.
Black women's. What are you gonna do for black single mamas?
Trump insulted us. Oh, his tone, he was so weighty.
and it's bad because this is supposed to be the educated class. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's the Amanda Seals effect. You're just an educated dummy. You know, Umar, the educated dummy. Amanda Stenberg, educated dummy. You know,
Amanda Seals made me sick what she said. I've lived in Harlem. You
next to Cosby.
Well, with the thing with Umar Johnson, you can make the argument that he's a tragic story, because when he first came out with his niche of psychiatry with disproving the diagnosis of with the school system putting kids into special ed,
ADHD.
which was his calling, and he was possessed by his lust and his lust for fame in the Hotep arena to make money, in which he probably, because of that, he relinquished his God-given talent, which he could have contributed more to the black community if he stuck to that.
Can you say that again for the Negroes in the back? Because we'll all agree, when it comes to child psychology, child school psychology, I don't know anybody else who can match him or peer him.
Here's the thing.
But when it comes to anything else, step down, brother. Let somebody else take the helm.
Here's the thing. Dr. Umar uses his powers for evil under the guise of being good. Because according to, I know y'all are familiar with Lennon Horner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, according to somebody who worked at the school, he was fired. He was marched out because what he was doing, he was double dipping. They were already getting money from the state, right? But Umar would come in and go and fight the case to the boy be up under his care. Do you understand what I'm saying? As far as like the determination of whether he was ADHD or not. But he would still have the kid up under counsel where he was getting paid for that. Do you understand? He was getting paid per kid, like on a monthly basis. So he was double dipping. You already getting paid by the school. Now you manipulated a situation to now you're collecting a check from the state every month because you're the quote unquote primary physician, as far as, you know, psychologist of this child. He was double dipping. The school got hold of that. They fired him. Same thing with this school. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with this school. You said you had $700,000 when you were talking to Roland Martin. Somebody else, you said what? What did he say he had? He said he had $600,000 the following year. You've been kicked off of all of the money collecting sites. So you do PayPal, no, was it Cash App, Venmo, here, P.O. Box for donations, because nobody else will fund you because you're not showing receipts on what you're doing. Right. And see, that's what killed me. The whole whites do it too. Like, just because the whites do it too don't mean that it's a good thing to do. That's their stuff. Let them handle their business. You're taking money out of our pockets. All right. You're lying to people. It's been over 10 years. When people offer you help, you refuse it. You refuse to show the books. You claim that you are the board of directors. You claim to be the board of directors. Not that you actually have several people sitting on the board, because the purpose of a board is to do what? Oversight, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you don't have a board of directors. You don't have a staff. You don't even have a school. You bought abandoned buildings that used to be a school, but they're no longer zoned to be a school because you got 2 prisons down the street. The neighborhood is too bad. It's too piss poor. The foundation is cracked. The air conditioning units are shot. There's a reason why it shut down. You have no pre-enrollments. You have no teachers. You just, and you've been living off of the money ever since you got fired from your job. You traveling all over the world. You taking people's money and not showing up to lectures. I mean, you got to be down bad.
Those buildings should be condemned.
Yes.
They should be torn down.
Yeah, exactly.
They should be demolished, torn down, and usually you'll come out cheaper if you just demolish it and build anew.
You can't. No. Because of where the location is and what's in that area. No, you don't want to. Like
it depends. It depends on the area. Sometimes it depends on the
like
area.
What they said about the area.
And
area.
And you got to remember, right? Many cities, especially where you have a lot of black enclaves, Baltimore is one of them. Baltimore is probably one of the blackest cities in America. Will we agree? You got to realize this. There's a lot of broken down space if you just demoed some of this empty butt space. I'm doing this for you, babe. I'm doing so well right now. Just moved into this house and my downstairs look atrocious, so everything's everywhere. I got to go through everything. And when you go through this empty, space and demo it and put state-of-the-art stuff, which will actually be cost-effective. For example, take some of them young boys in the 9th, 10th grade. Instead of just having a class of welding, hey, come build your school. Everybody say, wow. Wow.
Wow.
Build your school.
Wow.
Think about that. In 9th grade, by the time you graduate, how many years of welding would you have? How many years of carpentry? And you'll still have people go over them to make sure it's done correctly or if they need to step in. But when the one thing you learn as a coach, as a parent, as a caretaker, as a person who gives a damn, the more involved you make people a part of the process, the more they'll take care of it. Am I correct?
Oh, you're more correct.
Because they have a sense of ownership.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the. For example, somebody asked me, Charles, if you ran for mayor of Baltimore City, what would you do? I would have young people, like I said, build your city. Have their parents enroll in the program. You, the kid, and the parent are half owners of this house along with the city.
You know what would be a good school to open up? If you're going to call yourself opening up a school? A blue collar, a trade school, blue collar trade school, where you don't just teach one, you do electrical, plumbing,
carpentry,
HVAC.
Yeah, carpentry, HVAC, construction and truck driving. Yeah, you can
don't forget mechanics. Don't forget mechanics.
Yeah, mechanics.
Construction.
If you're gonna open up a school, that's what you should open up with companies that wouldn't mind interning the students, even the city, interning the students, so that way they get on the job training, and then when they graduate, if they do a good job, the company will just take them off your hands.
The guaranteed job security, and then that's the reason why.
And bring in future investors. You can that way you can be more companies that when they hear about this kind of program going on, others might be interested and start wanting to invest. And next thing you know, you're going to expand to other districts within the city of Baltimore, other neighborhoods.
And imagine what you're getting free publicity too as a company because you're being a good citizen to the community that you serve.
Not only that, one day I'm going to sit with you and Bay, and I probably talked to you about it. I want to open up my own paramilitary training school because what we saw 3 weeks ago in Pennsylvania, I bet you would have been differently if Black Lion Security was hired.
Oh,
He wouldn't have been able to get his shot off.
He would have. I know this might sound taboo. We would have shot him.
No,
As soon as
you
we-
have to. He's a threat.
If
you had to, you had to.
I know that we have some people who, even the guys nowadays, clinch their pearls. We would have shot them as soon as we would have had the opportunity. We would have shot them. And
clenching my pearls
sometimes,
as we speak.
as
How
my
dare
law
you, Charles.
professor said in the academy, sometimes the most diplomatic thing is putting a well-placed shot right between the eyes.
Yeah.
And when you actually take young men, especially, you have a program that says build your school, build your community. The next one should be protect your community. Why can't I get this, but I'm getting explicit pictures in a book in an elementary, basically a kindergarten's pre-K, a nursery school. I'm getting that instead of building strong men. You got to understand, me and Lewis are old soldiers. Well, Marine for him. Right?
Yep.
Who's going to take it over? We're older men now. We're capable.
Point, sir. Back
We're
hurt.
capable. Yeah, we're capable, but we're older.
Well, I suggest everybody listen to Sergeant Willie Pete had released a video a couple of days ago, and thumbnail is like rainbow colored with a bunch of soldiers in it, cartoonish, and he was straight on point where with all this DEI and everything, you emasculated the men here, but yet at the same time you're starting all these freaking wars all over the globe, and if stuff pops off, you expect these same men that you emasculated to serve the country and risk their life for your BS, but yet you giving them nothing here in this country.
And on top
And
of
then-
that,
Nothing to
and
fight
on
for.
top of that,
Yeah.
and on top of that, they seen what happened to Lewis and Charles' generation. I mean, how many of y'all veterans who came home, y'all just got this shaft from the VA and everything.
I
how
know
many of
that-
y'all
I know
numbers-
that. I know too many. I know too many. It was an uphill battle for me to get my 50%.
Mhm.
And
I mean,
it's. I always joke with BGS. I said the one thing millennials did get right,
but
we kicked the hell out of terrorism.
yeah, motherfucker.
We kicked
I
the.
was mad that y'all didn't want to be there. I was mad.
We
as
didn't
hell.
want to be. Yeah, that's a good motivator. Kicking the crap out of somebody. We had to kick the hell out of terrorism. Oh, I could have been here relaxing. Oh, you're going to catch this, and it's soon. And think about this: it took 20 years for them to act stupid. Say what you want about millennials, we put terrorism in check. Hell yeah.
Y'all
We put-
answered the Call of Duty because remember y'all were mad enough motherfucker on September 12th, and y'all how many went and enlisted out from that day onwards?
I'm gonna tell you how long ago it was for me. I already had 2 years in. Oh yeah, U.S. Marine. Oh, I gotta find mine if I can find mine. I got the hat
Louis?
though.
Lewis, do I gotta break out my avatar now? Do I gotta
Alright.
change my avatar? Cause y'all got me now. Y'all got me going.
Oh yeah, I got some boots. I had to tell my Padawan he turned 21 in June. I said I literally have combat boots older than you.
Uh,
Shit.
I
My
tell
dad
you,
got combat boots at twice his age, for all we know.
exactly. I said you got to realize something, and you make a good point, Lewis. You feminize and emasculate men. All of a sudden, these men that you said it's okay to wear a purse, it's okay to color your nails, it's okay to, bend at the wrist,
use a women's bathroom,
using women's bathrooms and toiletries. All of a
just throw a
sudden,
wig on, you'll be all right.
all of a sudden now, when things get rough, when darkness falls, they're supposed to hold up the sword of power and call upon the mighty powers of Grayskull and turn into He-Man.
By the powers of Grayskull.
See, I'm gonna, and I'm glad you said that because it
In fact, I'll do one better, Charles. You expect them to put up you expect these fellas to pull out the sword and say, by the powers of Grayskull, but instead they're gonna go completely She-Ra and go, for the honor of Grayskull.
See, and that's the point that I always said for years when
It's self-sabotage.
Exactly, and that's the point I said for
I got the
years.
perfect response for that.
No, gentlemen, Mr. Butler's been up north, I hear. Don't you agree with this, Mr. Butler? I think it's hard winning a war with words, gentlemen.
What do you mean, sir?
I mean, Mr. Hamilton, there's not a cannon factory in the whole South.
What difference does that make, sir, to a gentleman?
I'm afraid it's going to make a great deal of difference to a great many gentlemen, sir.
Are you hinting, Mr. Butler, that the Yankees can lick us?
No, I'm not hinting. I'm saying very plainly that the Yankees are better equipped than we. They've got factories, shipyards, coal mines, and a fleet to bottle up our harbors and starve us to death. All we've got is cotton and slaves and arrogance.
That's treachery!
Damn, boy, he was smooth with it, wasn't
And
he?
that was by the way, for all those Gen Z who don't know who the hell that was Clark Gable. The movie is Gone with the Wind.
Oh yeah, it's a classic.
by
I
the
actually
way,
watched it.
Clark Gable, World War II veteran. Because remember, like so many people, when Pearl Harbor hit, a lot of people from Hollywood answered the call of duty. He was a gunner.
You gotta understand something, right? When you take away a boy's right to dream, shout out to Outlaw Star. A boy has a right to dream, and then at the end of that poem, it said, "You must remember that all men were once boys." Raise your hand at some point in your life. You wanted to be the strongest, the fastest, the smartest, the most cunning, the most ruthless, the most ingenious. They took that away from boys.
Dare to be great.
Dare to be great. What's the SAS motto? He who dares wins. You took away
no guts, no glory. No nuts,
You
no
took
glory.
us-
No guts, no glory.
Think about all of us. Well, I know Bay's about approximately 8 to 10 years older, but he enjoyed some of the cartoons. Think about some of the stuff we watched as 80s babies, well, 70s for Bay.
G.I. Joe,
G.I. Joe, Transformers.
Star Blazers.
Yeah, you had He-Man,
Was violent.
Thundercats. What are the
Even
awesome?
Smurfs were
Silverhawks
violent.
in my case, Voltron, Saber Rider and Star Sheriffs, what was it?
Rambo.
Rambo. Hey,
Tom and Jerry.
Norris.
I know everybody watched Tom and
Tom
Jerry.
and Jerry.
The
Chuck
18.
Norris, the 18, but remember, Mr. T and Chuck Norris, as well as Sly Stone's Rambo, all had
Airwolf.
animated series.
Airwolf was the
Airwolf was a great show. That was a TV
Airwolf was the Sugar Honey Iced Tea. See, I almost caught myself.
Who remembers the
Appreciate it.
show? Let me ask
Knight
you a question.
Rider?
Let me ask you a question. Yeah, Knight
Yeah.
Rider. Let me ask you a question.
Manly
Since we're talking
show.
military. Yeah, since we're talking military shows, how many of y'all remember a TV show called Tour of Duty?
Mm-hmm.
It was that was an old show, wasn't it?
That was from the
Yeah,
80s.
well.
Miguel Nunez Jr. was on that show. I remember Blair Underwood had a couple of appearances there. Hell, even Carl Weathers was on the show. Made a couple of appearances on that show.
Yeah.
MacGyver.
The 18.
I
MacGyver.
remember that shit. The
Look at
18.
Look at all the shows that showed bravado. Where it showed
Magnum
MacGyver,
PI.
Magnum PI, A Man Called Hawk, Simon and Simon, The
I
Fall
remember
Guy.
Simon. We can't. No, I don't. We can't mention Dukes of Hazzard, can we? I mean, am I
Yeah.
wrong for liking that show?
Yeah, I used to watch the Dukes of Hazzard.
Everybody.
But they get but then when we realized what the deal was with the Dodger and everything, because the flag and the name of it. And
Everybody.
Nothing
Everybody.
about it. I mean, we knew the name of the car, but as far as the General Lee, well, nobody
Everybody.
looked into that.
Everybody
no
thought it was.
internet.
Everybody thought it was a cool ass car.
Right.
Let's be
I had
for
a
real,
lunchbox.
yeah.
I had a Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox when I was little, if you would believe
Look,
that.
look,
Do you feel ashamed?
look.
I don't
Anybody
know
that
if I
was
should.
they
I'm a little
claimed they
confused
was
'cause knowing the
offended
history
back
and
then, call it cap.
Yeah, I call it cap because you were singing that just a good old boys.
And
You were
everybody was and everybody was lusting after Daisy Duke.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, you gotta remember what they robbed us of. They robbed us of shows, especially being little kids at the time, of masculinity. Think about it.
But
Here's a show I
hey,
remember.
Charles, hey,
Here's a
Charles,
show I remember.
But what happened after that? During the 90s? I mean, besides Batman cartoon and X-Men of
Yeah.
the 90s, the entertainment got soft. And where did we gravitate to?
You gravitated towards what? The girls beating the boys and everything. We gravitated to Dragon Ball, anime. Think about it. Superman was the perfect segue to Goku.
Yo, let me ask you a question.
My man got a cure.
Oh,
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yo, let me ask you a question. I need to ask you
Go
a
ahead.
question. So we're talking about 80s series. I remember there was a show. There was It was like a post-apocalyptic show, predated Terminator, or something like in the line of Terminator. It was called Captain
Was it a
Powers.
North Star?
No, Captain. No, it was live action. This was a live action.
Captain
show.
Powers with the gold suit.
Captain Powers and the Soldiers of the Universe, Soldiers of the Future. Excuse me. Who remembers that show?
I remember
Because they
it
were
because
I am so lost.
Captain Powers and the Soldiers of the Future. Because I remember I had like a toy gun from that, and I watched that series, and they were dealing with some serious shit.
I mean, you got. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, they were talking about like humans versus AI and cyborgs and shit, just like how, like remember in Star Trek, the Next Generation, they were talking about like Star Trek, I keep forgetting what they call themselves collectively.
The Borg.
Star Trek.
The Borg?
The Borg.
Not the Borg. The Borg is the enemy. But the group,
The Dominion?
No. Captain Luke Picard and everybody.
Starfleet?
Star Trek. Starfleet, yeah. Starfleet against the Borg. That type of dynamic about humans going against machine and shit like that. That fear was there.
I mean,
Or AI and everything.
you had. Think about this, right? Because I want to stay on that masculinity point. You literally had. Even Kermit the Frog was manly. He was.
Dating Akeisha.
Remember when he had to be the sheriff and he was scared, shaking. But you know what he did that was so manly? He showed up. Despite he was afraid.
He overcame
He
it.
showed even that's why I always tell people, if you want to see how to write a female protagonist correctly, look it up on YouTube. She-Ra Princess of Power episode, The Stone and the Sword. Probably the greatest episode I've seen of She-Ra.
Or if you were talking live action.
Live action?
The character of Ellen Ripley, portrayed by Sigourney Weaver in Aliens. Or you can use the character of Sarah Connor, portrayed by Linda Hamilton in the Terminator series. Because their humanity is part of it. You're seeing a human being going through certain you're seeing a woman going through certain trials and tribulations to become what she needs to become, a rite of passage, if you will.
And you
don't
got to
see that with
remember.
the current one. Go
And
ahead.
you got to remember, they never made men feel like they're stupid.
No.
Apocalypse Now, baby. You never saw them. I am woman, hear me roar.
Wait.
No.
You know what?
But
Like I said, it
Be
was
friends.
diversity. Back then, it was true diversity. Hold up again, Lewis. V.
Oh,
yeah.
V. Oh
was
V for
man,
Vendetta?
I like V.
Jesus, she
V for
took me
Vendetta?
back. Oh my God, no, that's
right,
the show
go
back in the 80s.
We are so off track.
I mean, but
I know we're talking about manhood, the birth
It's
of
off track, but it's on track.
right.
On track.
I
We're
mean-
taking a detour. We're taking a scenic route, man. That's all
Right.
it is.
What'd that say? Is that a Godzilla?
Yeah, the
Gojira?
original.
I got
Don't go
here's
sleep.
a movie. Here's a movie that sums up what we're talking about. Demolition Man.
Oh wow.
Well, think about it. Everything we were experiencing. Remember when we were kids, or in some cases, for some of us, teenagers. We were preteens or teenagers. You know, when that movie came out in '93. And Bad Boys. All right, but remember when Demolition Man first came out and all the technology and everything we saw.
The greatest movie of all time.
What's that?
King of New York.
King of New York. All right.
Some cheap flowers.
Wait. And
Oh.
What's that? Enter the Dragon?
yep, Cantonese.
I can't see. Hey, one of these days we gotta watch
The way,
that.
the
I
way
gotta
of the
do.
dragon.
Yeah, man, I gotta ask that question next time. One of these days, I gotta go to a Chinese restaurant and just for the fuck of it, do that voice. You know, may I help you? May you help me? Sure. I like some Chinese spare ribs. Chinese? You don't know Chinese spare ribs?
You're gonna wind up on a TikTok. You're gonna wind up
that's
on
why
the wrong
I
side
don't
of a
use TikTok. Right?
No, but
But for real, like I said, Demolition Man, when all the shit we saw in that movie came to fruition, well, most of it. Like how the whole, Simon Phoenix said, it is a lady version of itself. And yes, I kept it kind of PG when I said meow.
no, you're fine.
You know? But he had a point when he said, let's bring back the good old days. But in his case, it was like the chaos and insanity that came with it. Because you look at Simon Phoenix as well as John Spartan, played by Sly Stallone. Hey, think about the name Spartan. That's like order and chaos. And then let's not forget, in that movie, what's her name? Lena Huxley, the character named after Aldous Huxley. That's Sandra Bullock's character. When she comes to realization of what kind of a man that John Spartan is, and says, "Oh, so you only did all these things only because you had to do it. You weren't just like trying to be brave all the time. You just did what was absolutely necessary to maintain the peace and keep law and order as a cop is supposed to do." Because she had this weird fixation about the 20th century, not knowing what that meant. Y'all know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, okay.
We grew up understanding what the hell we were seeing when we were younger, but we didn't have like some false idolization of the past or a romanticizing of the past. We looked at it for what it was, because remember, the 80s were rough. Even though a lot of us were protected, were shielded to an extent, but we all remember 70s, 80s were rough in one way or another. It wasn't sugar-coated. Gen X, millennial, 80s millennials, y'all knew that shit was wild in the 80s. Hell, there's a reason we're called the AIDS generation. There's a documentary called Surviving the Plague about, early AIDS activism. So we can't afford to be like looking at things through rose-tinted glasses, even though they try to foist it on us. These other generations who don't know what the past was like, and they don't learn from history, they're bound to repeat the mistakes. They're bound to repeat it. Well, actually, they don't say history repeats itself, history rhymes, but in their case, they mumble rap it like a motherfucker. A lot of them sound like, what's his name, Lil Yachty, Lil Fetty Wap, and all that motherfuckers and shit. Shut the fuck. Oops. Shut the bleep up. You little. But it's like we understand masculinity. We understood what was what is what. But we also understood how to respect other people. We understood what femininity was and respected it. And a lot of us, and we grew up with, in a generation where music was music and people were hopeless romantics. Now it's just everything's all just twisted, switch around, mix and match.
Well,
You can't mix and match your things like like certain suits.
Well, I mean, we are, and I feel so bad for the younger generation, like those who are under the age of 35, because so many people under the age of 35 are victims of the No Child Left Behind program, where all you got to do really is just show up for class, sign your name on some sheets of paper or whatnot, and they won't flunk you. They just push you on up and push you on out to the point where you're not even getting an 8th grade education, which is a basic education in America. They teach you how to read, write, and count in 8th grade level, and then after that, that's when they get like in the, I would say like maybe like the 10th, 11th grade, they start pushing all these useless, hard subjects on you like calculus and trigonometry. And a lot of kids, they just flunk out.
Yeah, those should be optional. And how many of these kids, attend what you guys have? What's it called? Career
day
stuff. 'Cause I've never had that. I don't know what that is. I've seen it like in a movie or something like that, but I've never experienced a career day kind of.
You know what it was? I'll tell you what it was.
Can I say
exactly what it was? Go ahead.
Sorry for the interruption.
No problem.
Those that are in my channel right now watching the stream, I have pinned up to the top. If you not have already, it's the link to Villainous News. This is being simulcast right now from Bay. That's our mutual show. But what I would like right now, if everybody can leave my channel and gravitate to over there, because it's like pretty soon I'm not going to be simulcasting, and I appreciate all the viewership yesterday on my channel, but this is the Villainous News Show, and that's the channel where we want everybody to go to. And thank you, Charles, yesterday for putting it in your community tab. And I know BGS also, a lot of times he be in the clouds. Thank you to BGS for sharing our stream yesterday, and also a shout out to yesterday also to Passport OG for sending a Cash App. I'm in debt, and I'm very honored for the donations that came through yesterday. So, but if everybody that's on my channel, I will post the link again to Villainous News. Can we please go over there to that channel, because we're trying to grow that channel and we need all the traffic as much as possible over there.
I'm gonna tell you, y'all had a classic last night, man. The other night, y'all had a classic, man, because you had, and I got to do my little promo. Like, come over here to get the
link.
Get your villainous news over here, man. Come on, come over to the dark side, man, and get your news. You're not gonna get this on ABC, MSNBC, PBS,
Definitely
you
not Fox.
know, PMS,
CNN.
CNN, PMS. I mean, Eminem. I mean, you're not gonna get it anywhere else. So you gotta appreciate people giving you the real, and people in the know.
CNN.
The link right there, I
Network.
just posted it again. Hold on 1 minute. The link I just posted, that's to Villainous News. We need everybody to go over there. I appreciate it very much.
And, you know, we had a lot of hitters on there. We had, of course, the two hosts of the show. We had the Passport that is known as OG. We had the Master Teacher BGS. We had myself, AB Media. Oh man, we had some faces up in the building.
That was the longest show we've ever done.
It was a classic, man. That was a classic, and the material along with it, you know, it just was an overall classic. I gotta give kudos to you both, man. Yeah. I wish that I could interact more, but my life has. I've been getting to this new house, and once I get things settled, I'll be interacting more with my segments, because there's a couple of things when police involved, shootings or interactions, everybody's trying to bug me about it. Like, what about this? What about that? I said, well, let me take an honest look at it, and I'll give you my honest opinion.
Because honestly, I think your take with the proper promotion, you can overtake Officer Tatum.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Tatum more comes off more so as a guy who wants to.
He grift.
Yeah, he's a white leaning explainer, but you need to hear it from a black cop that doesn't come off like, you know, he could have played the partner in Boys in the Hood.
I hate your lips because they black.
I'm not saying he's a bad person. That's just that, you know, sometimes he come off a little white leaning.
I think that his problem is that there's sometimes I do agree with him, but there's other times I'm like, dude, you're being disingenuous. You're not being honest. You're not being factual. And that's what hurts his brand sometimes. I mean, yes, he's big. He's got millions of subscribers, but that's what hurt him sometimes, because I've always said this, and I said it earlier to my friend Darren when we had a nice little friendly debate. Does your beliefs outweigh your reality? And that's what I always say. My belief in God has to be based in reality.
True.
My relationships with people have to be based in reality. If I'm always giving and I cannot receive, then that's abuse. And
absolutely,
when you're being disingenuous, well, you got to be like, look, I know why the black community doesn't frown too fondly of police. Look what the hell we went through since the inception. And by the way, people be like, well, the police came from the slave catchers. Police came from the slave catchers. No, that's Bale's bondsman. So you got to realize, one, you have to understand the crowd you're speaking to. The crowd he majority attracts does not understand the struggle with the average black person, black male specifically, go through, and the anxiety it can be when interacting with the police. Nothing
but apathy.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. It's like he doesn't understand until he gets his Negro wake up call. Which, one thing about America, you will. And
isn't that right, Tommy?
You know, that's the beautiful thing about America, man. You will get your Negro wake up calls. You just wait long enough. It happens to the best of us. And instead of being honest, you're cutting off like, why do black people act this way? It's like saying, why do black people need reparations? Because you let everybody else enjoy heaven, but you told us we have to die to get ours.
Yeah.
Everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody really want to die.
Well,
And it's
yeah,
like the chart that I showed yesterday, where it showed Black Americans are at the very bottom as far as overall annual income. The very bottom.
I believe it was Mr. Z who's mentioned many a times that in this society, black people are designed to be the designated underclass.
Yeah, in the words of David Carroll, we're the mud sill, and the word black is not a race, it's a designated class.
Hey, look at and I gotta give props to BGS for this one, because I remember he back in the early years of his posting on this channel, he put out a clip. It was an interview, and I mentioned this a few times, where it was one of those Black Conscious shows, and the host was talking to the guest, and the guest was showing this chart that was from the 16th or 17th century in Spanish-held colonies in South America, in Central America. They had this categorization of people based on race, what percentage of race, and which side of your family are you of these particular races. And in this chart categorized people into one of 16. At the top, European whites who just migrated from Europe. At the bottom, African slaves. In the middle, indigenous folks. And it showed, like, you know, how whiteness was valid. That's where you get the Mahora La Raza. What does this tell you? You know, when they've been dominating society, of course you're going to want to get closer to that society. It's never enough.
Quick question: are you speaking through your phone?
Yeah, I'm using a wired headset. Why?
Oh, I mean, your volume is low. Can you turn it up a little bit?
Let me see if I can.
Is it possible?
I don't know if I can. Let me check. Hang on. Let me get the setting. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but we got the music overlay. Sometimes the music is louder than the voice. I can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about now? Am I okay now?
Yeah, you're fine. Let me see if I can turn you up on this end. Phrasing.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. Say something now.
Yeah, I like some.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. I just had to adjust your volume on my end. But
hey, you, my big bro, I love you like the big brother and great father didn't have, but sometimes wish I did. You know.
Yeah.
But then again, we know you are hole, while I happen to be at the big pole. So
phrasing. What are you saying? What are you saying?
You can be a complete backside sometimes.
Of course.
Me, I'm a complete, you know, I'm a complete, you know, the
horses.
No.
Donkey butt? What are you getting at? What are you?
Hold on. Let me U-turn. I was spinning in the mud. My wheels are spinning. Hang on. Let me U-turn. Let me U-turn. Hold on. Let me U-turn. Get back on track.
Oh my God.
Where did I go wrong?
I'm trying to be a
I'm getting too far
here.
I'm sorry. I apologize. We're too left on that one.
For this.
We talk about serious shit. We're talking about serious stuff here. But anyway, what I wanted to say was
catching yourself after.
Yeah.
Look, hold on. We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused. My thing is this, because of BlackRock. All right, this is what I was getting at when I was talking about the whole school system thing.
Mm-hmm.
because of BlackRock, people have lost their pensions. Their policies, their DEI policies, where it's identity politics, racial and identity politics, shoveled down your throat in all forms of media and recreation. All right, they even went so far a track like a construction equipment. This company that dealt with construction equipment, suddenly they've got rainbow flags all over the place, and the people who normally use their products, they were like, no. Just like with Bud Light. You know, for those that don't know, I do bartending sometimes on weekends. And when that whole Dylan Mulvaney thing came out, where they put him on a can of Bud Light, I only saw one case of Bud Light, and that was the party that we worked like that following week.
Yeah.
And nobody asked for one. And for that whole, I think this was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see a case of Bud Light nowhere. Nowhere. People, look, when them folks want to boycott something with their wallet, they do it. That's how they send a message. They don't usually protest like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't know. That's Target. Their stock is. Remember, we used to look at the stocks on my other channel.
Okay.
That was why I was looking at the stocks, because the emasculation and of males, the feminization of males, and the masculinity push on women to the point where, you know, they're the most drugged people in America because they can't handle the stress of a full-time job while trying to run a household, especially those who were, you know, insane enough to buy a house and you don't have a husband. Because eventually, you know, there are things that happen in the house. If you had a man or a husband, not only could he probably fix it himself, but if he had to call somebody else, it would probably be somebody off the books, because he's saving money. He gonna get the cheaper price. Yeah, my cousin, he a plumber. Yeah, I call him up, he'll come through. Like, well, how much he gonna cost us? Oh shit, $20, maybe a couple beers. You know, I grill some steaks or some ribs. He's straight.
Or he owes me a favor.
Yeah, whatever. You know, that's gone. So these women are paying out the wazoo. You know, I mean, imagine you barely living check to check because you done bought this house. You know, your job, you was expecting these raise. The raise was like 25 cents. You was thinking $2. So now you got to get a new water heater.
And that's not cheap either.
Yes. That's going to set you back. That's going to destroy whatever little money. I mean, you see chicks. I mean, this is the beauty of TikTok, is that women love to tell their business. I swear to God, George Orwell, 1984, the people are watching themselves by putting all their business in the streets. Am I lying?
No, you're not.
They got to film everything, even their psychological breakdowns. And you got chicks who, I mean, they're literally crying because their engine goes out or something, or the mechanic is clearly lying to her about something, and she crying because she can't afford the repair bills. Their lives are destroyed by a simple bill, an unanticipated high costing bill, which would be anything over like $500 for them.
Which begs the question, how many of these people took, you know, when they were getting the driver's license, were taught what to do when it comes to in case of emergencies, or how to check an engine, how to look at an engine, how to read the dipstick for your oil, how to look at the radiator and such. That's not
their
included.
problem.
No, how many people even read the book on how to do that? I read a book on driver's ed, and that was included. Or what to do in a case of emergency, like where, like when you got to change a tire or something like that. What do you do with what, this, that, and everything?
The only time that occurs in the mind of a man is when he has to do it.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it, I done messed up this thing. Let me see if it's a YouTube video on that. See how I can fix it.
I remember when I was a kid, and growing up where I was growing up, we used to watch, like, there were these German programs. They were dubbed in either Arabic or English. We'd watch them. They were usually about first aid and such. And it would be a family thing. We'd be sitting in the living room watching this, And I'm a kid at the time. So because of that, not to mention, growing up, my dad being who he was and being kind of proactive about it, we realized, what? We need to get a couple of first aid kits. So we got two, one in the house, and then there was one under the driver's seat of his car. First thing he did, especially considering, his two oldest were, first thing my parents did, consider their two oldest, were learning first aid and whatnot in school. They call us, the other kids were too young at the time, but they called us. That's me and my younger brother. I said, come here. They opened the first aid kit. There was an instruction manual. They gave it to us and said, I want y'all to read that. Don't come back until you fully read it.
Yeah, because y'all are the kids.
And my mother, my mom, she could understand. She was college educated and everything, but there were certain terms that kind of flew over her head in a sense.
It's fine. That's the beauty of the yin and yang of a relationship.
Yeah. So
one partner got the other partner's back.
Yeah. My parents were like that, just like, and we didn't just teach that to us. We also taught our cousins that. And then when we went, we were overseas at the time. So when I got home, a lot of people were like, a lot of kids didn't understand the whole thing about first aid and whatnot. And it wasn't until the late 90s on state-run media, they were showing programs about first aid, like how to do the Heimlich maneuver, CPR, and stuff like that. These were things that my own people didn't know about.
Did you wind up having to use it before they started making commercials about it?
Well, since I learned this in the early 90s, no, I've never.
But the beauty of it was that you had the information just in case there was.
I had the information just in case. I even knew what to do in case of certain emergencies, like say you got a car crash or somebody gets stung by a bee, or somebody's got a leg broken, you're out in the wilderness, what to do, how to make a splint, how to set the bone and everything.
Right.
And those things came in handy when I was in when I was called to duty, because we have national service where you were drafted straight out of high school.
Did Scoutmaster Timmy show you all of this?
Oh no, man, you just had to go there, didn't you?
So look, let me finish my point.
But finish your point.
My point is that America is so weak, it's socially destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are some people that are still doing what they're supposed to do, but on the social level, they're trying to destroy the country on the social level, just like they did with England, France. They're trying to do it in Australia. They're definitely doing it in Canada. All right. I mean, that's why we even know that Jordan Peterson exists, is because what they've done to them socially and politically. Mm-hmm. Right. That's the same thing that we're going through here. George Soros is known for causing political destabilization. All right. BlackRock is known for financially bankrupting companies to where these people, they're losing their pensions.
Yikes.
All right. I mean, they're losing everything. They're losing jobs. They're losing pensions. Home costs have skyrocketed. And guess who are buying up these properties? Guess who's buying them up?
BlackRock.
Yeah.
Ding 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 ding. What did I win? What did I win?
Especially when like downtown San Francisco, because the buildings are so empty because a lot of the businesses left, just like in Oakland. BlackRock is buying up these buildings. Why are you buying up these buildings? Because eventually you know that you're going to do a reverse Uno on what you're doing socially, all right, and politically, all right, and through media. You're going to do a reverse course. And what will happen is, because all of these companies you loan money to, also part of the deal was that, you know, one of them had to be on the board or work there. You had to hire a DEI head to make sure that you were compliant in hiring so many different minorities. And as the one black woman said, who was a DEI head of the DEI department hire, she said the black people that she hired, primarily women, they were so racist. They wanted everything to be racialized, where if a white man just, you know, said hello the wrong way, they considered that sexual harassment. They were running to HR. Like, it seemed like one guy said, shit, if we had women coming in and out of HR like it was a hospital with these petty little grievances, tissues in hand. It's like, are you kidding me? So they wound up firing the DEI hires. But the one lady said that she got ousted was because she wasn't trying to play racial politics. You know, she's like, I'm here to make sure that everything is on an equal and fair playing field. But y'all are not playing like that. Y'all are destroying people's careers. So because she didn't want to play that game, they went as a group and complained to the head of the company or whatnot, and she got fired. That's why I find it funny when, you know, when people say DEI as a slur, and the first thing black, oh, you calling me the N-word. Like, if that's how you take it, then that's how you take it. But everybody knows you didn't earn your jobs. You were given those jobs. A DEI head, a DEI head pulled you in, gave you a job that you weren't skilled enough to do. And then when the companies got tired of losing money, they fired the DEI head and the majority of the people that they hired because they were bad for companies. Remember, they were showing them white girls and whatnot, talking, oh, this is daily life at Google and all of this stuff, them tech jobs. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, now they sobbing on TikTok because they got laid off. A lot of videos of them people getting laid off. One girl, she was so stupid, she literally said why she got laid off. And she's complaining, talking about, well, my department got a lot of high marks or whatnot. And, you know, even though I didn't sell anything, I feel that I was an outstanding employee. And it's like, chick, we are in sales. You ain't sold nothing since you got hired here, and you wondering why you got fired?
Because you weren't, fulfilling your quotas, woman.
Right, you weren't pulling your weight. All of these college kids that was out here protesting. You had one of the guys, I think he's the CEO or the board member of, you know, one of these companies. He was like these are like Fortune 500 companies. It's like him and his partners, as far as different companies, because you understand they all date together and go down to the local pub. You know, they all drink together and have conversations. He was like, yo, like, we've already instructed our HR people when they come in, you know, make sure you get a picture of their face. And we've got the machines that can do the facial scan, even if you was wearing a mask, to see if you was out there protesting.
Ooh.
And if you were, No, your resume going straight to trash.
Straight to the
They-
shredder.
Right. They don't want you in there because you're part of the problem. You cause problems. It was a protest at Google. Like, I think it was like 9 people that sat in protest in the middle of Google headquarters, like their lobby. These are employees protesting. I don't even know what they were protesting, but as soon as they were done, they walked around with security. Pack your shit, stuff. Pack your stuff. Need
Clear
a box?
desk by
You
the-
got a box.
Clear your desk within an hour.
Yeah, like clear your desk now. Security, come on. They got other people to go to. Yeah, you're employee number 4. They walked out of here. How dare you? You're this stupid. You're gonna protest at your job.
What were you
And,
thinking?
and you know the stupidity on that? You probably spent, I mean, you probably accumulated hundreds of thousands in student loans for the tech field, STEM. You're very fortunate enough to work for Google, which is one of the largest companies in the world. And working there, you're probably making a pretty penny, which you're most likely in the top 15% earning in this country. So through your hard work, you fulfilled the American dream and you threw it away.
Not to mention
Through
probably getting
brainwashing,
blackballed.
liberal indoctrination.
They
And do
didn't
you know
have,
how many
you didn't have
people-
hazelnut creamer in the in the coffee shop, so they protested. Sorry, go ahead.
and you threw it all away for leftist propaganda, and they probably fell for the trick bag themselves because they sabotaged their own careers.
Yeah, because once they clear a department, I mean, you got no telling how many people trying to fight and claw and scratch for the same job. And I mean, sadly enough, yes, a lot of people with degrees for degree jobs are starting off with minimum wage, $15 an hour. They want you to work your way up. Ain't that something? I mean, who'd ever thought that your basket weaving degree would get you started off at minimum wage and you had to compete with other people who actually have real degrees in the field in which you're trying to get a job in?
Not to mention how many of those people are probably in the country through an H-1B1 visa. Or am I wrong on that one?
No, you're not.
Well-
They're usually better educated because they're not there for the foolishness. They're there to
And-
study, drink,
and we're-
get laid, and get married in almost that order.
And where they come from, they're not, their brains are not poisoned with the Disneyland fairy tale BS that's here in America.
Well,
They're
coming
from
to America, they
India.
have certain misconceptions about the U.S., though. But yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, they come over here. When these people come to America, because I know I have a ton of Indian friends, Arab friends, and Korean and Filipino friends. And when they families came over here, they know this was the land of economic opportunity. And a lot of that, you come here, you get a good job, you make money, you retire, and you go back to your home country. Or you have a home here and you build you a home where you came from, and you can live like a god in your country because of the, well, now with the BRICS, but then with the
Exchange
US
rate.
dollar, you can live like a freaking god over where you came from.
And you ain't lying, and Lewis. I mean, in Africa, you'd be surprised how many people brag about their children who are overseas, especially the ones in Europe as well as the ones in North America.
Yeah.
And they like to flex on each other how much their relatives are sending money back home. Even
And
though
also, here's the thing too. A lot of people back home is dependent on you.
absolutely,
They're probably taking care of their family members. So they don't have time or can jeopardize their opportunity for the BS that's over here because they got more than just themselves depending on their success.
hope, and many of them are working hard, sending money overseas, hopefully being able to bring their own families over stateside or Europe, hoping they can save enough money just so their kids can come to the States and get better educational opportunities or something like that. And hopefully be protected from the indoctrination and crap.
I saw a couple of videos of different people from the continent that now live in the United States telling their own people don't come here. Says it's the most expensive place you could ever live. And tell them don't they like the second they, because some of these when they come over here, like you said, sending money back home. I mean, some are being pimped like that, but some are actually like trying to build their future. Like one woman, she was over here, she lived over here 30 years. For 15 years, she sent money to her brother to build her house, had the plans and everything. Guess what happened when she finally retired and went home?
The money was gone and there was no house.
Exactly. And there was nothing that the authorities could do.
She got it. And none of her family members could do anything, could they?
Are you kidding me? They were in on it.
See, that's the thing. A lot of them take their relatives overseas for granted because they think this, that, and the third. I mean, fortunately for me,
she wasn't here for 15 years.
Yeah, this is the land of milk and honey. Oh, he could make more.
That's remember what her brother said. You can make more money.
I remember this was, this was 10 years ago. I was a manager at a restaurant, and one of my line cooks from Mexico. He been here sometime. His name Gordo. Busting his ass, working in 2 different restaurants. Sent the money down to Mexico. And took a vacation. They put the house in their name and locked them out. His own home.
They did him
Well,
dirty.
you know what? That's why you can't. This is what I learned. You can't do a home build from afar. You need to be, if you're going to do a home build, stack the money and then, move into an apartment and then you go from there. Find a reputable construction company, make sure you got, they definitely said, make sure you got all your permits, and they said, go to a magistrate/lawyer to see who owns the land. And if you buy the land, make sure you go through the magistrate.
Get all the legal paperwork and everything that goes
right.
with it.
So that way it's 100% legal. Can't
And
nobody.
And in some of those countries, the bureaucracy be a trip.
Right. Because over in Africa, like they'll sell you the land like some chieftain. Yes, this is my land. And yes, I'll sell you that or whatnot. And then turn around that suddenly now the chieftain he want to get his land back, or somebody, or actually it was a scam artist and the real person came and they want to take the land back. This is after you've built your own home on there and everything. Like shortly after you finished, they come and snatch your shit back. Excuse me, sorry. They come and snatch your stuff back.
You'd be surprised how many folks have also had their lives taken from them as a result. They come home, they get destroyed. And I'll tell you, one of the most embarrassing things, a mark of shame in many of these households, is if you get deported. Because, what the hell were you doing why did you get deported? Not even willing to hear about your side of the story. And even if you were to able to get back, they just look at you like you better redeem yourself.
We get deported. You probably deserved it. I mean, you had to do some heinous stuff to get deported. I mean, you know, getting arrested for public intoxication isn't a one-way ticket out, but it would have to be a violent. I mean, you would know. It has to be a violent crime, or you know, or a high property crime.
Or you got
like
caught
rob
up
a
in
bank
some
or
other,
something.
or you got caught up in somebody else's mess.
Yeah,
And things like that. You know, they implicate you, and you have no recourse.
a felony, a good felony, will get you right up out of here. Maybe on the transport ship, like Marcus Garvey.
I know people who struck out, so to speak, if you know what I mean. You catch my drift.
Yeah.
And they were given an option: either you can do life, or you can take this plea bargain, in which you will get you'll be stripped of your U.S. citizenship and be deported back to your country of origin. I met a few brothers that way, and we chopped it up and had conversations about that mess and everything. They were like, "Tell me to stay out of trouble, man."
Like, hell, I'm over here because of what I did back there. I can't go back. They looking for me. No, but all of these things weaken society. If we were, let's say, like we had a ground war right here in the United States. All right, let's say we had to, all of a sudden this place turned into Beirut. Like, not just from our own hands, but from a foreign powers. You know, it was infiltration, thanks to Biden. A lot of people would not survive. They wouldn't survive, especially the crowd that's, you know, so anti-gun. You talking gun control or whatnot? Like, it's too late for that. It's way too late for that. Right? Like, are you kidding me?
Anybody ever heard of the video game Homefront?
Yeah.
It'd be like that kind of type of scenario.
It'd be more like The Division.
That too.
Yeah, a lot of people they're not ready, especially, you know, us as black people. We're not ready for that. We talk a good game, but if it came down to it, you know, it will definitely be all about survival of the fittest.
And survival of the fittest it will be.
At any rate, we're not, as a people, because of the state of manhood as it sits today, we're not ready for any type of war, be it here at home or overseas.
Yeah, because one, your previous generation, you pushed them out because they didn't want to take the jab, or they were severely injured, and others saw how they were treated by the system, where they didn't get the proper mental health care for PTSD or for whatever bodily injuries that handicapped them. And we all know that the VA is notoriously inept. And a lot of people saw how the government treated its warriors, which is in low regard. And now you have males that are totally jaded in this current dating system. And let's be honest, those with families are more likely to be patriotic and willing to defend their nation because it's their family at stake. But now you got the system that has betrayed these young men, or they've been stripped of their manhood through a lot of these indoctrinations. And they seen what happened to us, and likewise how we seen what happened to the people that was in the original Gulf War with the a lot of people that nerve gas. and especially that were you've seen on a lot of media, you've seen in documentaries how we treated our people during Vietnam, and compound on with the economy, where, like Donald Trump said when he ran for 2016, the American dream is dead. So why would I risk my life for a dream that's dead and I'm most likely not going to benefit from? So right now it's like, I'm going to do me.
That's why I think a war, America needs to have a war. It needs to have a physical war. I mean, not only does it clear out, not only will it clear out a lot of dead weight, because you know the first people that they're going to call up are the poor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, which I mean, unfortunately, us, then the poor whites, the poor Latinos. All right,
We're going to Appalachia, Rust Belt, Bible Belt, Midwest.
So white, black, Hispanic, the poor, they're going to be called up first. Then they're going to push you out there on the front lines with subpar training, because they've lowered the bar in basic training in the Army. I can't speak for the Marines or the Navy or the Air Force, but they've definitely lowered the bar on the training for the U.S. Army, the grunts.
The Marine Corps has not lowered its physical standards, but the Marine Corps has two different physical standards for male and female.
That's good. The Army does not. So that's really the first place you're going to go. Those who are the cream of the crop, they'll be pushed into other branches of military. But, you know, if your best bet is to, you know, be able to shoot a gun while chewing bubble gum, you're in the Army. You're in the infantry.
You're going to be 11 Bravo or 0311.
Yeah. You'll be the ones that will get smoked first. And whatever comes back after that, trust me, you're going to come back to a whole new world. After every war, the soldiers come back to a changed world. Oh, okay, there it is. Yeah. So trust me, society will be different. It won't be no quote unquote bad chicks running around, because who they're gonna be showing themselves off to? A bunch of sugar daddy aged men.
Us.
Yeah, you know, guys over the age of 40. You're gonna be getting glammed up for us. Like, please, like, oh my God. Like, and I understand. I mean, matter of fact, you saw that in Dead Presidents.
Mm-hmm.
He come back home. I mean, his girl was age appropriate for him, but the pimp was like in his late 30s, early 40s. You know, he was up there. He was above. Well, he looked to be in his late 30s. He's probably older than that. I mean, you know, black don't crack, but he was definitely an older man.
With a young spring chicken.
Yeah, you might be coming back home to that. Or you might be coming back home, or you'll probably be coming back home to that. You'll also probably be coming back home to decent women looking for, you know, husbands, or women who think they're decent will be looking for husbands. All that little 50-50 crap and whatnot, all that's going to fly out the window.
An Officer and a Gentleman, anybody? Who remembers that movie?
I remember that.
I do. I remember it.
I mean, who remembers also, I mean, references to films like, that one movie, like Full Metal Jacket?
Well, they never showed them come home.
No, but you saw how they were getting all messed up, or like in Platoon.
Yeah, a lot of psychological damage. It was more psychological damage than there
Apocalypse
was.
Now.
physical. That's why I like.
Jarhead.
Yeah, that's why I like when a lot of guys and y'all. I mean, have you been in war, Lewis?
Did humanitarian relief with Haiti in
Right.
'99.
Charles, you been shot at in while wearing military garb, like for real?
Several times.
Yeah.
He was a
So
professional door knocker.
it's best to tell me if I'm wrong. When y'all came back home, was it best to have a lot of quiet time in order to settle yourselves and get reacclimated back into society?
You have to, because one thing about paramilitary organizations like police, firefighter, you see the best of humanity and you also see the worst of it. The reason why you're gonna need that time is because sometimes you gotta tell your brain we're no longer at war anymore. You're basically, your body gets amped up for combat. So it has to be able to calm down. That's why a lot of times you'll see people who are so amped up that they're pretty much can't control their emotions. They're more likely to strike out when they're angry. And then look at those scores you get from the adults and look how they turn into their children, into their grandchildren. And notice you keep getting the recurrals, the issues like this. Hopefully I answered your question for you.
No,
Yeah,
you did.
and when you're in the military, you're in a chaotic, organized structure, so to say. It's an organized structure of chaos. And when you come back to civilian life, it's different. Everything. Things that you could say that you would say to your fellow battle buddy, you can't say to a civilian. So you have to, it's a period of time that you got to decompress.
Because my thing is that I feel you guys take that alone time because you really can't deal with other people, especially when, you know, you got somebody purposely being agitating. So you stay out of relationships because you don't want to mess around there and kill them. Because, you know, I mean, that's what you've been trained to do, and that's what you've been doing in a life or death situation ever since you left boot camp.
And when you're in the military, when you're given an order, you follow it with total obedience. And depending on how long you did in the military, it could be either 4 years or 20. You're in a structure where you are given out orders and you expected to be followed with obedience, total obedience, or you're given orders too, and you are expected to follow it with total obedience and perform it with the total proficiency which you have been trained to do. And then you come into civilian life where you got these I guess these are Gen Zers who, you know, you got to ask people to do something nicely. You can't yell at them. If you raise your tone, it's offensive, and that can be very frustrating to you.
Yeah, I don't. When these kids get back from that experience, they'll be looking at going through another phase of reconstruction. This is why a school that actually taught blue collar jobs, quote unquote black jobs, this is why it's so important. Not just that, but even like coding and spreadsheets and whatnot. I mean, you'd be surprised how many women get hired, like, just because they know how to do Excel. They have experience with Excel. Like, oh, you do? How many years? 3? Oh, whoops. You know, we're gonna check your references and we'll call you right back. And 2-3
Took
days later,
courses
they
and got
tell her to show up for
certifications.
orientation. Huh?
They took courses and got certification as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You and experience counts. You'll be in orientation by the end of the month. I mean, because really look at it, a lot of the job is secretarial. You know, you're just doing data, you're just pushing data. I mean, unfortunately, those jobs are going the way of the dodo because of AI. All right. The internet has really, as much as it's been a convenience, it's also cursed people out of a lot of jobs.
The double-edged sword, as Prince would said.
Yeah.
About computers.
So I mean, but still, you still need human workers for certain jobs. And if you know how to do any type of software, you have any type of experience and what they mainly use is software, they'll give you a shot.
And you also got to deal with the generations of people who never paid attention in school, they never took it serious. Probably the furthest they ever went in the American workforce was probably Popeyes or KFC.
Ooh.
No, I'm being dead serious because
No. I'm thinking,
hold up. I have a couple of people that's at my job that's in their 50s, and that's their first ever job.
Oh.
Yeah, because I mean, when I was a teenager, like, shoot, I first started working at 15, washing dishes at this buffet restaurant. Me and my cousin, he got me the job. We back there busting suds, and there was no load up the dishwasher and, you know, it run through a machine. No, those things didn't exist. We was doing it by hand.
You were the dishwasher.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to scrub a peach cobbler off of those metal baking pans?
That is one of the most impossible. When you get certain foods, and I remember, and anybody in the military tell you about KP duty, man, Jesus Christ, and they have them huge pots and
industrial size,
and you got to take a scrub brush that looks like a hairbrush and try to get that shit out of there.
Yeah, sure.
And you're working with scalding hot water just to get it off.
When they talk about you going to develop tough skin, they were not lying.
No, they were not. Shoot, we had a razor blade scraper. If it wasn't for that razor blade scraper, we'd have been in trouble. You just go around them edges, and then you get that steel wool, that big giant steel wool bigger than your hand. Scrape them edges. At any rate, no, trust me, I feel some people, they never evolve outside of those jobs. Like, you go into a fast food restaurant, and it's funny because usually when you go into a fast food restaurant, the staff normally comprises of maybe a young girl or two working the counter. You know, the other one is back doing chicken. Maybe a young boy with his pants sagging or two.
Clean the bathrooms in the dining room.
Right. And then you've got maybe a couple of fat, middle-aged women. Depends on what neighborhood you're in. I'm not going to be too stereotypical, but usually for me, it's black. And then you've got some dude back there frying the chicken, you know, or he in the back of the restaurant with a broom in his hand, sweeping the floor or whatnot, or loading the conveyor belt for the hamburgers. Those be, especially the dudes, those be the dudes that they peaked early and they got all these children because, you know, these chicks, they love these street dudes. And usually after they get out of prison and they're free and clear, they're the ones that's back there that's frying your chicken or loading your hamburger on a conveyor belt or whatnot, you know, because they can't go any higher. As a matter of fact, I remember Lewis, when I was working at Wendy's in Columbus, Ohio, while I was in college working at the Wendy's, and this one guy who was already like 30 years old with a Jerry curl, mind you.
Damn.
This was in the 90s, like 92.
Boys in the Hood?
Yeah, he was like that. He told me that he will always work fast food because it pays him enough to pay his share of the bills. Because, you know, he was telling me his life plan. He'll always have a roommate. The place will pay him enough to pay half his bills, and the other, you know, with his half of the bills, will have enough money to get some beer and some weed and buy a new video game every couple of months. I mean, he was 30 years old, and this was his life's goal till he died.
That's what happens when your parents don't give you no expectations. You never had no responsibilities as a child. And you didn't have expectations of yourself.
Yeah. I thought I think I was like 21. I was 21. And I just looked, no, I was 20. I just looked at him like 21 on 21. I just looked at him like he was crazy. That was I mean, even back then, you know, when you're young and stupid and think you know everything, even I thought that was the dumbest thing at that age that I had ever heard in my life.
Oh, Charles. Hey, Charles, you up?
I am here.
I got something to show you. Can you put the camera on me?
What's that record? What is that? Is that like a military thing?
Yeah.
It's basic training book.
I haven't seen one of those in years, yo.
I still have the picture from my basic training. All 25 years ago. Good God, how old am I? Jesus. It's something where you keep up with. And one thing about it, I'll tell you what's kind of particular. When you do KP duty, you have a lot of respect for the people in the back of a restaurant automatically, man. Good God, man.
It's rough back there.
This is rough.
The heat, being wet, sweating.
The smell of all that. Oh. All right.
And your crazy hours, getting up.
Phone done. Always a pleasure, folks.
All right,
Get
man.
you on the news next time. Always a pleasure.
All right, get to sleep.
And get some villainy.
All right,
man.
So
wow.
Yeah, my thing is, I mean, it's like this with this whole hostage thing or whatever, with the impending war. If Biden, of course, he's too incompetent right now to even be president, to give out any real type of judiciary orders. So, I mean, who's next in line is Kamala. Kamala's calling the shots. Can you picture her being a wartime president until there's a transfer of power?
No.
Or better yet, let's say by some miracle she, you know, the oligarchs say, yes, we're going to run with Kamala, you know, since Trump is worried about her ethnicity. Well, this is what we're gonna do out of spite, because I mean, they hate him like crazy. I cannot picture her sitting down with Putin, trying to have an adult conversation concerning the war, because more than likely it'll be a report coming out of Russia, just like when we traded for Brittany Griner with the Merchant of Death, and the Russian news media were just laughing at us, like literally laughing at the United States, like, wow, like really, y'all trading us the Merchant of Death for what they call her, a drugged out lesbian. That's what they called her, a drugged out lesbian.
You left your service member over there, which is just recently getting out now. And how long was that case? That was 3 years ago, right?
5 years. He was in there for 5. But you guys are forgetting something. Prior to Griner's
when did Griner get locked up? The beginning of Biden's term, right?
No. She got
out last year, right? She did
9 months. No, let me stop y'all right there. She got busted in late February, early March of 2022.
Okay, so 2 years ago.
Because her dumb ass, because this moron, if I could say that.
Yeah.
She was part of it. She was part of a team in the Russian league that dominated that won the women's Euro League, for that matter. Her team, she was one of 6 foreigners playing on that team, 5 of whom played in the WNBA, all of whom are citizens of NATO member states. And she wasn't the only lesbian. There was 2 of them who were also lesbian. In fact, they were a couple, and they all decided to not go. A lot of foreigners who were playing in Russia decided, we're not going to play in Russia. Because this is at the beginning of the tensions, and when the war broke out
with Ukraine.
With Ukraine, you saw, for example, the Russian national soccer team was really blackballed by the European governing body UEFA, and all the teams that were in the qualifying groups with them refused to play them in protest. And a lot of players have said, we're not going to play. We're not competing in Russia. We have no interest in playing. And those who played professionally in Russia was like, we're not going. Griner was told, and not to mention, a lot of European countries, they were extending, travel advisories to their citizens about traveling to Russia. Griner, despite her own agent telling her don't go, despite her wife of her current marriage told her don't go, she said, I'm going. And the thing is when you go as an athlete, you have to notify your team that you're coming, and they gotta sort out the travel arrangements for you, so you don't have to deal with the hassle of customs and everything like that. She booked the flight herself, and then noticing her name and everything, because it's a blue passport, decided, you know what, let's just detain her. Next thing you know, they're saying they found a vape pen with cannabis and everything in there, and
No, they were hers. She admitted they were hers. Yeah,
they were hers. But if she had notified the team, because the team said they had no idea she was coming. Well, they didn't. So they said.
Well, they wasn't gonna put her on a private charter because they ain't have the money. I mean, they don't have the money now, but they're somehow there.
At the time, they did.
I'm talking about the WNBA.
No, the WNBA didn't have anything to do with this, because remember, she played overseas.
Right.
The team that I'm talking about is the team that she played for in the Russian league, Ekaterinburg, in the city of Katerinburg, or Ekaterinburg, as they say. They had no idea that she was coming. She didn't notify them that she was coming, and would be reporting to practice.
Who did she notify that she was coming?
She didn't notify
for her to be able to play on the team.
Well, her own hubris being what it is, she went on her own. She charted everything herself. I'm like, are you out of your dumb mind? you have to notify, you have to notify the representatives over there that you're coming. Email them or something so they can arrange the tickets and everything for you. But no, she booked a flight and she got picked up at Moscow airport. And that began the ordeal. The other teammates said, we told her, don't go, we're not going. And everybody saying, when you go, let her go, let her go, let her go. And the funny thing was, like, you saw her, she had her hair cut because apparently her dreads froze while she was there. They had to cut them. She was sent to a labor camp, and unfortunately she had to do, like, she couldn't work with the other women because, her height being what it is. And if you saw her when she was being taken in and out of the courtroom, looked like she was being dragged by a toddler. And they had her wearing, men's sized attire and such.
Right,
even at
this is what killed me about the whole thing. They had her, of course, in the prison that was appropriate to her gender, which is a women's prison.
Yeah.
So for her to turn around last month or whatnot, talking about I'm the pappy, it's like, apparently you didn't learn your lesson, did you?
I remember seeing footage of her on the plane getting ready to go back. I'm just looking at her facial expression. I'm like, I see that look in her eyes. I'm like, there is something seriously wrong with this woman. There's something seriously wrong with this woman. That's like you can see it in her eye. There's like the way she looks at you, when she talks, how she looks at you and everything. There's something. When I look at her, it's wrong for me to say this, but when I look at her, the way she walks and everything, especially when she had a haircut, I'm thinking, you look at this woman, you're thinking, did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar have a baby with RuPaul or something? With a face, with that mug, she looked like a cross between Kareem and RuPaul. I
don't even care. But we're not. We've been on for 2 hours and 51 minutes on what's supposed to be a 2-hour show.
Ooh,
so we're gonna shut it down, fellas.
Yeah.
I know some of y'all are working men. Need y'all beauty sleep.
Thank God it's Friday.
Right. So I was going to play this, but I'll leave it alone. It was the people, the women trying to fight for the ability to buy sex from children out in California, because they felt that the bill where they punish people for trying to buy children for sexual purposes out in these streets, they want to toughen the penalties. And they were saying that, well, it's going to affect the trans community the most. And it's like, okay, let's strengthen that bill even more. But at any rate, let's get out of here. Y'all be safe. Take care of yourselves. We will catch y'all later. Peace.
Peace out.